Everyone is talking about cryptocurrencies right now. Bitcoin, blockchain, Dogecoin, Ethereum, NFTs. But dear Lord, what does it all mean? Anyway, welcome to the one clip that will turn you into a crypto genius. I'll explain what it is, why it is becoming increasingly vital, what I've actually put in myself, and the downside. Okay, so there was no such thing as money when society was in its beginnings. This will be referred to as stage 1. The only way to purchase something from someone was to approach them and say, "Oh, I really like your horse. I'll swap you my cat for it." Sorry, Bruno, but I'd never exchange you for anything. However, the problem with such a system is that even if you are completely willing to give up your horse, you may not want a cat. Therefore, the trade would never take place. But that's where stage 2's money comes in. Because coins were composed of valuable materials such as gold and silver, everyone assumed they were worth something. Are you familiar with the British pound? The reason they're called pounds is that 1 pound of silver used to be 1 pound of gold. So now it doesn't matter if you don't want my cat, as long as I have coins, we can still trade for your horse. Even if you have no use for the silver because it is a valuable metal, you have the certainty that you can take that coin, give it to someone else, and trade it for something you do desire. Awesome, right? However, this progressed to stage 3. As banks grew in power and governments gained control, we discovered that as long as the system was trusted, we could move away from carrying valuable metal blocks and towards something even more convenient: paper money. It works the same way, except now that the money has value not because it's made of pure silver, but because the government says it does, like this 10-pound note in the United Kingdom. The bill itself is made of, well, plastic, which has just been modified because it is more durable. But if you look closely, you'll notice that all of this is actually the Bank of England pledging to pay the bearer of this bill 10 pounds. This is essentially a receipt or confirmation that you hold a certain amount of money. However, as technology advanced, we discovered even more handy ways to store and trade our belongings. We've reached stage 4. More people than ever are buying items online and using credit cards, and we don't see our money anymore. It has nothing to do with cash, bills, or cats. It's just spreadsheet entries. When I buy a music record from Amazon, my bank makes an item in my spreadsheet that says Danny now has $10 less, and Amazon's bank makes an entry that says they have now $10 more. So the reason I've given you this long introduction is to give you some background on cryptocurrencies. Many people consider it to be the most convenient era of commerce ever. This is the 5th stage. A cryptocurrency can be thought of as a 100% virtual asset. Although the Bitcoin logo resembles a literal coin, it is no longer a physical coin. However, there is no gold, no silver, and no paper in crypto. It is simply the exchange of digital assets. The fundamental concept is the same. Consider them to be nothing more than running spreadsheets of who's paid what to whom. Except that with crypto, instead of many banks keeping their own separate records, there is simply one massive spreadsheet of every transaction conducted with that currency, which is referred to as a ledger. Okay, we all have a nice spreadsheet, but what's the big deal about crypto and why is everyone so excited about it? A money system like this, on the other hand, has some significant advantages. First, it's decentralized, which means that while every transaction of a specific cryptocurrency is recorded on the same ledger, there are many copies of that ledger, each of which belongs to someone in the network. You may have heard of cryptocurrency mining or Bitcoin mining. It simply refers to someone setting up a computer to process transactions on their own copy of the ledger or spreadsheet. There are around 1 million Bitcoin miners around the world, and Bitcoin is only one sort of cryptocurrency. The reason they're doing it is that if you dedicate your computer's processing power to mining Bitcoin, you'll get paid in Bitcoin. So, if I go into a store and spend 5 Bitcoins on something, rather than checking with one bank's records, the store verifies with every single computer on this network to see if I have enough. And if I do, each computer will give the go-ahead and then each computer will update their records independently. As a result of having so many copies of the same ledger, it's quite easy to identify whether anybody is attempting to defraud you. It's not going to work if I try to hack into someone else's computer on the network and give myself more money by modifying figures on their copy of the ledger. The system will recognize that 99.9% of the copies on the ledger say one thing, but one of them says something else, indicating that the ledger has been altered with. The system is well organized, and I believe people trust it because they see the future as open, verifiable transactions. Much more so than having some of the record here and some of the record there. I know it appears complicated at this point, but as we go through it, I think you'll see that it's actually rather straightforward for a lot of people. There are many parts in the world where you can get internet connectivity, which is all you need for crypto, but don't have access to regular banks which require a lot of paperwork and documentation. Second, and I've already hinted at this, but the fundamental benefit of crypto is that it eliminates the need for banks. Because everything is kept on this ledger by the people, foreign payments may be made almost quickly instead of taking half a day, and there are no spending limits. Furthermore, you won't have to worry about exchange rates, interest rates, or even transaction costs, which are close to free for some cryptocurrencies. But this is when the real fun begins. I swear, I'm entertaining at gatherings. Cryptocurrencies are termed such because they are protected by cryptography. Blockchain is one example of this, which is used by several major cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin. People are frequently puzzled by this lately. Blockchain is not Bitcoin, nor is it a money in and of itself. It is simply a secure sort of ledger. So, you know that enormous spreadsheet that everyone has for keeping track of transactions? Blockchain is simply a technique of organizing everything into blocks. As a result, every time I pay for something using Bitcoin, it's recorded as a block. Each block contains transaction data, such as who was paid and how much, as well as a hash, which is a unique identifier and the hash of the previous block in the sequence, or the last transaction that was recorded. And the pivot on which this system is built is that if something in a block is changed, so will the hash of that block. Because each block also contains the data of the preceding block, if the hash of this block changes, the following block will no longer have a matching hash, and every consecutive block after that will become invalid. So if you combine this with what we discussed earlier, the idea of a million different users each having their own copy of the blockchain ledger, I'd have to not only tamper with a block and every block after it, but I'd also have to do it on at least 500,000 computers around the world if I wanted to create a fraudulent transaction that paid me money, such that the bulk of the computers in the system are in sync with the one I messed with. Hacking into someone's dollar account and giving myself money, on the other hand, is something that actually happened, and it's sometimes as simple as guessing someone's 6-digit PIN. However, there's a significant difference between that and attempting to hack into 500,000 unrelated systems all at once. So, cryptocurrencies have their drawbacks. I'll get to them in a second, but maybe you can see why some people are enthusiastic about them, which gets me into investing. You've probably heard of people investing in cryptocurrencies, which simply means they're swapping traditional currencies like dollars for cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. They're betting that those cryptocurrencies will become the next big thing, causing their value to skyrocket, allowing them to spend or just exchange them for more cash than they paid for them. Going to the moon or mooning is a name for cryptocurrencies that surge like this. However, depending on who you ask, this might signify a variety of things. The only decision that someone would have to make at this point is which cryptocurrency to use. Since we've discussed Bitcoin, Bitcoin is just one of over 4,000 other cryptos, each with its own set of characteristics. Ethereum, for example, which is the second most popular cryptocurrency that can execute transactions even faster than Bitcoin. There's Cardano, which is thought to be more technologically advanced, and Litecoin, which has a newer algorithm. Also, if you love this video, please consider subscribing to the channel and I would be delighted. Get it? So, let me show you what I've done. And please note that this is not financial advice in any manner. I've only put a tiny amount of money into it that I'm willing to lose. And to be honest, I see it as more of an optimistic bet than a strategic investment. The only thing you should get is one of these hats, which is the best investment I've ever made in terms of financial advice. So far, I've invested 40% in Ethereum, 20% in Polygon, 20% in Cardano, 10% in Cartesi, and 10% in Litecoin. And this portfolio has basically gone up and then down, and again, up and then down. It's really inconsistent. So crypto is in a strange place right now, which leads me to one of its issues, the dark side. This is one of the most important things. The volatility of crypto is one of the reasons why I believe many people do not take it seriously. No one really understands what these currencies should be worth, because they are so new and wholly digital, unlike instance the gold market. As a result, you'll notice that crypto prices are highly speculative. They are tethered to the news cycle, so when a glowing story about them is published, prices rise. But when Elon Musk writes a tweet criticizing them, prices plummet. The second issue is that they aren't widely accepted as a form of payment. Yes, I can now book vacations with cryptocurrency, and I can donate to Wikipedia with cryptos, but there are a lot of companies that are still on the fence about it. Companies such as Microsoft, Tesla, and even Burger King have stated that they will accept Bitcoin before later stating that they will not accept Bitcoin. Third, there may be a concern about the environment. The concept of transactions being confirmed many times by many computers is the main reason why a lot of these cryptos are so secure. As a result, I believe it's a valid criticism to say that this produces a basic inefficiency in and of itself. A large amount of processing power necessitates a large amount of electricity. But, depending on who you ask, you may reply that traditional banking consumes more electricity, that newer coins with greater technology are more efficient, and that one day we'll be able to receive that electricity from renewable sources. Fourth, because there is now no actual policing or regulation of cryptocurrency, there is a strong belief that it is the ideal currency for criminals. But, to be honest, I believe the statistics on that one speaks for itself. According to Chain Research, 0.34% of crypto transactions are criminal. Up to 5% of normal cash transactions are criminal. I believe this is because there is a misunderstanding that currencies like Bitcoin are anonymous. They are in fact pseudonymous. This implies that your public key or unique identity will be permanently baked into the blockchain when you make transactions with it, even if your personal information isn't exposed to everyone. As a result, cash is just a better currency for most forms of illicit activities because it is untraceable by its very nature. But, in addition to drawbacks, crypto has resulted in some truly bizarre events. For example, you may have heard of NFT, which stands for non-fungible token. If you haven't already, you should grab a seat for this one. I don't want to call it stupid, but this one has me stumped. So now you know how to walk into an art gallery and pay to own a painting. You can now pay only to obtain digital ownership of something owing to the blockchain. So it doesn't prevent anyone from using or sharing that project. All it means is that you'd be the owner of the original and they'd all be sharing copies, even though they appear and act the same for all intents and purposes. Many of these NFTs are nothing more than JPEG photos. I believe that some people find this ridiculous and amusing because there's a significant difference between purchasing an NFT and purchasing the rights to anything. So if you buy the correct service, it's a highly legal purchase because you can make merch and sell licenses, which you can't do with an NFT. All reproduction rights to such piece remain with the original owner. Simply put, you're using the blockchain to demonstrate that you have partial ownership of that asset. However, it is apparent that simply being able to say that has some benefit. An NFT of this Gucci ghost was sold for $3,600. Jack Dorsey, the CEO of Twitter, sold his first tweet as an NFT for $2.9 million. 5 words! I could do that! Any takers? This one in particular has blown my mind. This photograph, which is essentially an overview of one man's work of art, was sold for $69 million. Nicely done. To be clear, this only transfers digital ownership of a JPEG image to the buyer. Finally, you've probably heard of Dogecoin. Dogecoin was established as a joke and is built on the same technology as Litecoin. People began sharing it and contributing a small amount of money since they found it funny. However, this boosted its value to the point where some people have earned billionaires simply by purchasing Dogecoin when it was inexpensive. Well, there's a fascinating world out there. If you found this video helpful, please share it with a friend or family member who might benefit. I'd be grateful if you could help me out. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Till the next video.